Welcome to Amaneth Wellness Academy's Empowered Shift podcast, where transformation begins with one bold yes to you. I'm Amanda, your host, nurse, certified high performance coach and nurse coach, who after 25 years of nursing and a lifetime of caring for others, has truly discovered what it means to no longer pour from an empty cup. Here in this podcast, you'll find real conversations grounded in strategies and soulful encouragement, where we explore mindset work, holistic wellness, and intentional living strategies to help you rise into your most balanced, vibrant, and empowered life. This is your place to pause, breathe, and reconnect with you. If you are done surviving and you are ready to thrive, you are in the right place. Hello, and welcome back to Amaneth Wellness Academy's Empowered Shift podcast, episode number 3. Here on the Empowered Shift podcast, we say yes to curiosity. And through the curiosity, we say yes to creating that clarity, that healing, and that possibility for your life. I, Amanda, am your host. I am a nurse, a coach, and truly a fellow traveler on this journey to creating my most empowered life. Today's episode, we are going to dive into something that is so close and sacred to my heart, and that is creating the balanced life. This is so important to me because there once was a time in my life where I had zero balance at all. And we're going to get into that into a moment. But what I learned through that, and what I want you to know, is that a balanced life is possible when we understand what balance is. So we'll first talk about that. But living a balanced life is one of the foundational principles to living your most empowered life. Because when you live a balanced life, you know that everything is taken care of, so you can fully step into and be empowered to be exactly who you are called to be. To live out that mission, that purpose, that God-given path for you in your life. And do it in a way that is healthy, that is fostering relationships in all areas of life, and that's from a place of confidence and joy and vibrancy, knowing that you are creating an empowered and fulfilled life. So we're going to dive into all of that today. And as we do, this comes from a framework that I live my life by every day. And it's in that framework that I also wrote and published the Balanced Nurse Blueprint, an online self-paced course that you can take that walks you through the pillars of holistic wellness, gives you simple strategic tools to creating your balanced life so that you can step back into that joy, that vibrancy, that passion, that purpose-filled life that you are called to live each and every day of your life. So come with me as we dive into what it means to live a balanced life and how you can begin to do that as we talk through this here on this episode here today. So let's start with first by understanding why is balance important, and then we will step into what balanced is. Why is living a balanced life important? Living a balanced life is important because it lets you live fully into each area of your life, knowing that when I am stepping fully into maybe my career, that my family, my relationships, my health and finances are all being taken care of because of the balanced habits I've created, because of the habits in my life that allow me to live fully into this. Or maybe I have to step into my family and step back from my career a little bit because maybe I have young kids or older kids, or maybe I have parents whose health is failing, whatever that is. That needs more of me right now. And when I have a balanced life, I know that I can do that. I know that every other area of my life is taken care of. When we don't have balance and we need to step into an area, so I need to step fully into my career and put all of my energy and effort into there, I do that. And all of a sudden my balance gets way off, and pretty soon I look back and been like, gosh, I haven't seen my husband in 7 days or a month, or I haven't spent time with my kids for the last 3 months. I haven't called my parents in 6 months. Gosh, the last time I went out with my friends, I can't even remember, because you've been so focused in one area and forsaken the other areas because you don't have the habits, the foundation, the principles set up to create that balance. That pretty soon when you achieve that corporate ladder and you get to that height, that achievement, you look back and you realize you lost everything along the way. So was it really worth it? Or maybe it's when you step fully into your family, because again, you've got young kids or sick parents or a sick spouse, something like that needs your attention. And because you don't have the balanced habits set up in your life, pretty soon you start getting sick. You start calling into work. Your relationships are strained because you haven't created that health in there. Your health is strained because you don't have those foundational principles to lean back on without having to really think about that. Pretty soon, as you navigate that journey with your family, you look back and maybe you've lost your job or lost your health. Maybe you've gained weight or had a health diagnosis yourself because you didn't take care of yourself. You forsook yourself to take care of others. That's not a balanced life. So when we are out of balance, it creates chaos. It creates a heightened nervous system. It creates chaos and disorder, anxiety, restlessness. And it just has this like path of destruction with like a boulder ball running through, destroying everything in its path. That's what it means to live an unbalanced life. So it's important so that a balanced life is important so that as you navigate the seasons of life, because the seasons are going to come. The mountaintops and the valleys are going to come. Whether you are balanced or imbalanced, they're going to come. And how are you equipped to handle them? If you're not equipped, that's that unbalanced life, and that's where further destruction comes from those challenges. Where in a balanced life, it's challenging, but because you have good habits in place, you have a balance in place, you have a system and a framework in place to know that all areas are being cared for, you can walk through that season of life, that challenge, in the most empowered way. That's why living a balanced life and understanding how to do that is so crucial. And it's available for all of us. We just need to understand the simple principles, learn the simple principles to creating that balanced life. Now, we've talked about why it's important. Now let's step into what balance truly means. Because I think we have this picture, at least I know I had this picture of when I used to hear work-life balance. I never had that. I used to laugh at that. I definitely have it more now. But when I was new into my career as a nurse, I absolutely didn't have it. I thought I had to give up everything to follow my career. The examples, the mentors I had in front of me had forsaken their life. I think every nurse manager that I had been divorced. Every leader in healthcare that I have followed has been through trials, lost their relationships, lost their friendships, forsaken their health and their wellness. No joy or fulfillment could I hear coming from them outside of work. When you asked them what was most important to them, what was their favorite part of their summer, or what did they do, it was always related to work. That was not balanced. So I thought that's what I had to have to create a balanced life, as I think many of us have had that picture. To go after success, whether that's in real estate or finance or business or entrepreneurship. Forsake all, give everything, you have to pour your heart and soul into this. And in 2, 3, 5, 10 years, you'll see the rewards. Well, if that's what you've done, you've just lost 3, 5, 10 years of fun with your family, your kids when they were little, the healthy time of your life where you could travel with ease, seeing things in the world and trying new things, even maybe like just an adventure for a day, because you had to give that up to create that success in your life. And that's not true. I used to hear so much of doctors in particular, because my world is in healthcare, but really this is for anybody. But I love hiking. And one of my dreams in life is to hike the Pacific Crest Trail, the PCT, from Mexico to Canada. And I used to follow this podcast years ago. And it would follow hikers through. This was like a 3 to 6 month journey to walk these thousands of miles. And so often what I heard was doctors saying, I've had enough of it. Like, there's been such imbalance. So I'm leaving this world that takes everything of me, 24 hours a day, being on call, giving everything I have to everybody else, to come hike this trail. But now I'm out on this trail all by myself for the next 6 months, forsaking everything else. You see how those are such extremes? Like, on both sides. That's destructive behavior because we don't know how to have that balance in the middle. So I always like to give the analogy, of that, I don't know what they're called, but they sit on your desk. I call it just the pendulum. That's what it is, a pendulum swing. But where they've got those two balls, right? And you pull one ball back and you let it go and it comes and it hits in the middle and the other ball goes up and it comes back. And so it's back and forth, right? Well, that's what I just described. That pendulum's pulled so far this way in your career, you let it go and it comes in the middle that it hits the other ball. Now we're so stuck in healing ourselves, we've forsaken everything here. What we want to get is to where the pendulum's in the middle and it's just barely swinging back and forth, because it's still going to swing. There's never a time where I can give 25% to my career, 25% to my family, 25% to travel, 25% to my husband, and we're good. Like, that's really not possible. Maybe for a day I could do that, but it's not possible to really live that way, right? But if I create a balanced life, what I have is that pendulum stays in the middle. But maybe for this month, because I am launching a course, maybe that is that I have to spend 35%, 40% in my business. And I've really been pouring into my family. So I'm going to be at 20% there. That 20%, I'm all in when I'm there. But that gives me that 30% over here. And then I still have time for my health, my wellness, right? So that pendulum's still swinging. Maybe it's that, gosh, I have little kids. And so that pendulum is like, I've got to spend more time at home because my kids are at home. I have to run them around. We have all the sports. We have school. And so I have to give more time there. So my pendulum stays a little bit more this way, but it's still swinging in the middle. I still have my career. I still have my marriage. I still have my spiritual relationships, my financial relationships. I still have all of those. But I'm able to give a little more focus here while my kids are little, or maybe my parents are aging and older, or my spouse is sick. Again, whatever it is, you can give that because you're also caring for the other. You have a framework on how you give to all areas to create that balanced life. We have to be looking as we can never forsake one thing for an extended period of time. We have to be giving something to each area to have that balanced life. Maybe it's my career is going great, my family is going great, but maybe my spiritual relationship, my relationship with God, I really, right now, that's a season of growth and focus. So maybe I take that pendulum and I spend a little bit more time in prayer and reading and meditation and seeking spiritual guidance to grow that part of my life. But I still have my family. I'm still spending time with my family, doing awesome at work. And I know that I've got this framework. So I know that if I'm spending a little more time here, these are taken care of because I have that framework in place to know that these are going to be taken care of. That's what a balanced life looks like. To know that I've created a foundational habit that supports my physical, mental, spiritual, and emotional well-being in these areas of life, so that if I have to give more focus in one area, we're still going to be good because I'm watering all areas, if you will. So what does this look like in practicality? How do you play this out? Let's kind of take a look at those extremes. I think back, there was a time in my career where I was completely out of balance. I had little kids and I had just been promoted into really administrative work as a nurse. and was trying to grow my leadership career. And we also had started a business. My husband and I had opened a small bistro. And I worked the front of the house. He kind of worked the back of the house. So I had to pull shifts and be that go-to person, the manager that did the hiring, the menu work, the sales, the customer service, all that sort of stuff. And I still was working full-time. We had kids that were like 2 and 4. And it took everything to be able to do that. Now, if I would have leaned on it, I had people around me that were willing to help. But 1, I didn't know how to ask for help at the time. And 2, the pictures that I had been given of what success looked like was so skewed. The pictures of success at that point in my life, the mentors, the leaders, the people that I had thought were successful. Looking back now, I see that that wasn't probably necessarily the case, but their pendulum was swung so far one way. Their relationships weren't great. Their family or marriages weren't great. Their fun and fulfillment was absolutely gone. All they had was their work. And so that's what I poured myself into for a couple of years, and then realized I'm losing everything. My kids are little and I'm missing out on opportunities. How many birthdays and holidays did we have to miss out on because people called in sick or didn't show up to the coffee shop, or we had this event at the coffee shop, so kids, you're going to have to come spend this at the coffee shop, or work needs me, so the hospital needs me, I have to be at work. That pendulum was so far one way. But then I said, let's get this into balance. My health is failing, so I need to get my health under control. So I just added in another thing, and I started doing marathons and bike races and all of the things so that I was healthy enough to do the work. But in all of that, I ended up really putting my friends and family on hold. And that really did take a toll, until one day I woke up and realized, what is all of this for? We have an amazing restaurant that the community loves, and we had met amazing people through. My career was soaring, but gosh, I haven't been on a vacation with my husband in 3 years. I haven't got to take my kids to their first day of school. I get to meet them there because I'm working. I didn't get to go to your concert at school because I was working. That's not a balanced life. So I had this wake-up call, and it was really like, what is all of this? If I have all of the success, what is that for? I don't have balance. Now, balance wasn't the word I was using. I was like, okay, I've got this, but I'm lacking over here. So then I delved in and really dived into the understanding of what really wires us as human beings for that joy and fulfillment. Where does that come from? What does that mean? If we have true joy and fulfillment in life, what does that look like? I honestly had no idea what that. And then the more I delved into it, it was the simple principles of my physical health, my spiritual health, my financial health, my relational health, and creating balance among all of those. So it was to have clarity about what I was doing, to know exactly what was needed to be done and the things that I was doing, to have the energy to be able to do them and still have energy to be with my family and be with my friends. Because there was probably 2 years that I can think of where energy was something I definitely didn't have. And my kids could tell you, my husband could tell you, that I would fall asleep standing up. I would fall asleep at the dinner table. Like literally, if you left me in place for too long without moving, I would literally fall asleep. And a couple of times I'd hear my husband say, you didn't bring the check fast enough. She told you she was ready. And I would be asleep on the table at a restaurant, like passed out, because I was so tired, because I was running on empty for so long. And so I needed that energy. When we have a balanced life, the energy that we have means I have energy for the task at hand. So if I have to go to work, I've got that energy, but I also am able to create the energy to be present and fully present and engage with my family and my friends, to volunteer, to be with my community at church, like whatever that looks like. I've got energy for all of those things. Well, how do you create that energy? You create that energy through how you care for yourself. So are you sleeping? Are you eating right? Are you hydrated? Are you taking care of your mind? Meaning, are you putting in things that are positive and uplifting, that are learning and growing, that are motivating you to do new things? See, when we put stuff like this in our mind, all of a sudden we begin to challenge ourselves to see what's possible. What can I do? Versus if all I'm putting in is the things of the world, the anger, the short-temperedness, the ways in which like it has to be this way, that negative side of things. Or if I give my mind space for that, like it would take a toll. This has been a process for many years. So first it started by with what do I put in my mind with music? What do I put in my mind with what I'm reading, with what I'm listening to? Because I don't tend to listen to a lot of, if I'm working out, if you see me at the gym, I'm listening to a podcast or an audiobook. Very rarely am I listening to music. I really only listen to music when I'm in a creative phase, like I'm writing something or doing something or going to church or whatever. To what am I watching? What you put in your mind is so crucial. So we've come to a spot now to where we've kind of let go of everything. And we even 4 months ago got rid of all of our TV subscriptions, Netflix, Hulu, all of that sort of stuff. Because that was creating a negative energy or putting more of a negative influence that took more energy to deal with. When I intentionally created that, I created an energy shift in my life with each step, with really getting clear on what I read, on what I listen to, the audio I put in my mind, in my ears. That shifted my energy big time. Then, how do I eat? What am I fueling my body with? I gotta fuel my mind, I gotta fuel my body. I gotta fuel my spirit. So spending time in meditation and prayer. And as a Christian woman, I spend a lot of time in prayer, reading the Bible, meditation. Get out and I walk barefoot in the grass all the time, unless it's freezing out. You'll see me at least 3 times a week at the park, walking the pond barefoot, stopping and doing. These all created a shift in my energy, which allowed me to show up differently, that allowed me to keep that pendulum in the middle. So if I needed to spend more time on work, I had the energy to do that and still come home and be present with my family. If I needed to spend more time with my family, I had energy to do that and still had energy to create what I needed in business. That's what a balanced life is really all about. It comes down to what are we putting in to get the output in life that we desire, that we need, because whatever you're putting in comes out in some way. Again, whether you're putting that in nutritionally, mentally, physically, it is important in creating your most balanced life. And this is what I break down in the Balanced Nurse Blueprint. It's literally giving you a blueprint of how to take care of those physical aspects to create the energy you need, the mental aspects, the environment, we even dive into purpose and relationships and rest. That's one of the things that's often overlooked is rest. We let that go out the window so fast in life. If we're busy with work, we shorten our sleep. I got to stay up and finish this project. Or busy doing all of these things. And rest isn't just physical rest. That's important every single day to be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep every night. But it's also, how do I rest my mind? How do I rest my body? How do I rest my soul? The different ways of resting so that you can rejuvenate in those areas. And then how do I fuel my purpose and my passion every day? How do I connect with why this is important to me? That's what creating a balanced life looks like. And that sounds like a lot, but it really breaks down into simple, actionable item steps. I always say, what's one small action step? And when I say small, I'm talking about 1% different today that will move me closer to what I need in balance in my life. So if my physical health is maybe out of balance, maybe that is to drink more water today. That's all I have to worry about today. I'm not going to ask you to worry about anything else, that one thing. Maybe it's to park at the end of the parking row instead of closest to the store. so I get more steps in. I love this challenge in life, and I've walked students through this, I've walked clients through this about we may not always have time. There's 24 hours in a day. That is something we can never change. But you can add things into your day that boost your energy, boost your movement, boost your mind, that are part of what you already do. So take the stairs. You're going up 2 flights, take the stairs. Park an extra 20 stalls away so that you get a few more steps in. If I can't go work out at the gym for 2 hours, but I can add these extra steps in, or I can stand up at my desk, or I can take a loop around the office. I go to the bathroom, take a loop around, come back and sit down to work. Your productivity increases, your health increases, your wellness increases by that simple action. Far more than spending 2 hours at the gym if you do that consistently. I dive into this into the course, like the studies that have shown how putting these simple action steps in your life drastically change your output, that outcome, that health, that wellness, that balance in your life. So balance is about a balanced life is about creating habits, the healthy habits that create a holistically healthy life. When you can do that, then you have balance. So health in my rest, health in my movement, health in my nutrition, health in my community and relationships, and health in my spirituality. So even in the busiest of times, even when I was working 2 jobs and had 2 little kids, maybe it's to hear my alarm go off in the morning and 30 seconds before my feet hit the ground is to say, I'm saying yes to me today. I've got this. I can be my best self today. Take some deep breaths in and out and start my day. That starts from a place of intention. That starts from a place of desire to want to show up for myself, for my family, for my career, instead of reactive. That already lowers the intensity in my nervous system. It already brings a sense of empowerment. I'm in control of myself today. I'm in control of how I show up in this day. 1 small % change begins to create that balanced life. In your spirituality, so whether that's meditation, whether that's breathing exercises, whether that's 5 minutes reading your devotion or 5 minutes in prayer, maybe that's 5 minutes on the way to work. I work from home now, but when I used to commute, I used to spend that time in my prayer time, in my meditation time, breathing, setting my intentions for the day. Here's how I'm going to show up. Here's what I'm going to get. Here's the relationships that I want to foster, the conversations I want to have today. That's creating a balanced life. And then pretty soon, when you do these small action steps, you begin to look back and you're like, wow, look at this. My circumstances haven't changed. Life's just as busy as ever, but I feel in control. I feel calm, not chaotic. I feel energized and actually, man, dang, look at this. Look at this. Look at all of this going on. That's pretty awesome. That empowered life, that empowered shift in your life to create the output that has that joy and that vibrancy in life. The other thing that's often overlooked when you begin to create that balanced life is your mindset. How are you talking to yourself in the day? Gosh, I'm so dumb. Why did I do that? I should have known better. That just stole all my energy. Or to look at that and say, well, what can I learn from that? That was a mistake. Okay, well, here's what I'm going to do different next time. Here's what I'm going to see ahead of time. When I see this, I need to be mindful of this. I can do this. Okay, yeah, no, I don't have all the answers. I'm not sure how we're going to complete this project, but I know I've got these resources around me and these people. And I know who to ask, and I believe that we can do this. That's a much different place to enter into that. So your mindset is huge in creating a balanced life. To creating the energy in a balanced life starts in your mind. How you're telling yourself you're going to show up. That proactive state, so that then your body knows how to respond. This is what I need out of this next event or action. That's to live your most empowered life. Your most balanced life. that keeps my pendulum kind of in the middle. And I can see when those are the things I'm focusing on, I pick up on, gosh, I've spent 6 days, 10 hours a day doing work. I need to connect with my family tonight, connect with my husband, and do that. And when I do that, then I'm even more energized to step back into my work on Monday morning. Or gosh, man, my health has been completely out of whack and spending so much time there that I need to take some time to focus on that and my mindset. And how am I showing up? What am I doing? What am I putting in? If I stick with my intermittent fasting and I stick with my water and these things, like my health shifts. Yeah, I've got this. I can do that. That's the framework that you're building. Interconnecting these pieces and seeing how they work. So, to live your most balanced life is to look at your nutrition, your movement, your rest, your spiritual well-being, as well as your physical well-being. And in that physical well-being is that mental talk, that mindset, and seeing what's one thing. I always like to say, when you begin to make shifts in your life, if you're creating that most empowered shift. So if today I really need to focus on my mindset, that one small shift, 1% I've got this. Just keep repeating that. And when that's how I show up, then all of a sudden, I can see how things are shifting, how all of a sudden I have more confidence in my actions. I have more joy because the confidence has been solidified, but leaves me to joy because I know that I can do this. I may not know how, but I know that I can do this. Small 1% change. That's all it takes. And in doing that, I always like to say that 1% change, especially when you're first beginning, we like to set these big, huge goals. And I say, start with something that you could do today that you could still be doing when you're 85 years old. That's how you know it's a 1% change. And that's what creates sustainable change. Because when we make the goals too big, those changes too big, they don't sustain, they don't stick. Because it's too big and we're giving up too much or feel restrictive in those areas. So choosing those small 1% changes of what can I do today that I know I can still do when I'm 85, and that's what I'm going to be consistent to and commit to this week. So maybe that's to drink one more glass of water every day, walk outside for 5 minutes every single day, to tell myself I can, I get to. It's a huge shift in your vocabulary when you say, I get to. Not I have to, but I get to. I get to do this work. I get to talk to this person. I get to see this person. I get to pay this bill. I get to fill my car with gas. Whatever it is, how small or how big it is, because that cultivates confidence, gratitude, and empowerment, because all of a sudden, if I get to do this, it's a choice and I'm doing it, and I'm doing it with a grateful heart. And that joy just begins to expand and radiate out from you. So how can you begin to live your most empowered life today? What's one small 1% change you could start today? If you're not sure what that small 1% change would be, then I invite you to check out the Balanced Nurse Blueprint. It's not just for nurses. It was orchestrated because I was a nurse. But the Balanced Nurse Blueprint is for any of us that can create balance in their life. And I will put a link to the Balanced Nurse Blueprint in the show notes below, so that you could check it out, because it will give you small strategic steps to creating your most balanced life. If you've got questions about that, feel free to message me. I would love to begin to show you, to support you in what it is to live your most empowered life, because it is available for you right where you are right now. You have exactly what you need to be able to begin to cultivate your most empowered life. That life of joy, fulfillment, ease, and peace. I believe in you, see you, and I'm here for you. Have a great day, everybody.